That's what I'm talking about. Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
See, no one has balls. No one has the balls to say the real deal.
Black word today.
Just y'all is the one and only. Get up.
You are poor.
Hello, everybody.
Black word today.
Sound. Look at that. No sound. I had no sound. So let's go again. Hey, everybody. How you doing? My name is Tim Black. Welcome to Black Word Today. Sorry, I had the volume down because the mic picks up the music when it's playing, and then it does a reverb thing that would really suck if I didn't cut the mic down. So I could cut the mic up. Got to remember to cut it down. This is what happens when you operate on a shoestring. This is it. I got no interns. You know what? Someone hit me up about internship. I don't even know the steps to get that implemented, but I will respond soon. So anyway, guys, today as a back-to-back show, I did a show yesterday. I'm doing a show today. I'm doing a show now because I missed Monday because of MLK Day. I celebrated that and kind of tried to get my head right. If you missed my Coffee with Tim Black show earlier today, then you missed the brother going off because the brother did go off. Because the news that was left for me to cover was full of so much dog mess, I couldn't do it. There was a little bit of talk about banning. You didn't miss anything, except me going off about our news cycle. Now, actually, you might have liked it, because it was a keeping it real moment about what is passing as news nowadays. Talking about Trump's weight, talking about he take Propecia. I don't care about that. Obviously, I don't care about Propecia. But today, same hurdle that I had earlier this morning, which was, what the hell do we talk about that's important to the people that are watching? Important to my community, the people that I do the show for, right? So, I got to talk about a topic that I fell upon, and I was like, wow, I got to discuss this topic. It's about schools. It's about education. Now, I recently had Bill Sombrello, who was a candidate in Massachusetts in the 9th District, on my show, and the focus was education. So I'm like really laser focus on education right now, and then this story comes up. So let me just set it for you, set the stage a little bit. Share this, because you're going to want to share this, because this show here is going to be important. I can tell you that. So share it on your social media now, please. I'll wait. Go ahead. Share the show. Go ahead. You shared it? All right. I'm trusting you. I'm trusting that you shared this show. You know, don't be lying to your boy Tim Black, your brother Tim Black, your uncle, depending on where you fall in the age range. Don't do it. All right, so check this out, guys. The topic of today's show is the D.C. public school system, but it's not just D.C. public schools. It's about schools in general. And what I'm about to lay out to you is a very reprehensible situation that happened. Okay, so let me set the stage for you this way. Let me just start with the headline here. D.C. mayor addresses how school grads all got diplomas without meeting requirements. Now, if you read a title like that, that's going to jump out at you a little bit. D.C. mayor addresses how high school grads got diplomas without meeting the requirements. And what I started to uncover, folks, is a level of either incompetence or miscommunication. And I'm gonna leave a lot of this up to you, but I'm not gonna leave it up. I'm gonna have my opinion, you're gonna have your opinion, but I will do my best to lay out what's being reported on this so you can form your own opinion. But I'm gonna have my own damn opinion. Definitely. Let's start here. A lot of paperwork. Now, there's a school in D.C. called Ballou High School. Ballou High School has notoriously had a low graduate level. And they were aiming to do something about this, about increasing the amount of graduates to come out of Ballou. And also, this is not just for Ballou, but for D.C. in general, like the D.C. public school system. That's what their focus is, improving their numbers, having more students graduate. And they'll tell you it's so that they can compete. But if you're graduating more students, but those students are not meeting the requirements of graduation, it's not like the requirements to graduate are arbitrary. The requirements for graduation are so that you can be prepared to go out into this world and succeed. So I'll continue here, guys. If Ballou High School's administrators had followed D.C. public schools' grading and attendance policies, 64% of the class of 2017 would not have received diplomas last June. 64%. So the school is not following the D.C. public schools grading and attendance policies. Because if it had, 64% of the students that did graduate would not have graduated. So these students, they got pushed through the system, but they shouldn't have been pushed through the system. Get it? Okay. The Office of the State Superintendent of Education issued a sobering report Tuesday confirming a WAMU is Washington American University Radio. Okay, it's American University Radio. It's in Washington D.C. It serves the D.C. metropolitan area. Okay, and NPR, National Public Radio. They combined together to do this report. Little backstory on that too. Okay, so they did a report, but see, it's because last year Ballou graduated 100% of its students that were eligible, that were in the 12th grade, I guess. And I don't want to say I guess. That's what I believe. That's what that means. Because that's what brought this to the attention. So they did a fluff piece, a celebratorial type piece about this graduate level at Ballou High School, because they were going, wow, everybody graduate, and everybody's trying to go to college. They all put in college applications. Okay? And then they took a step back and said, how did everybody graduate? This is unprecedented. How did this happen? And thus, the report I'm about to share with you. Okay? Once again, the Office of the Superintendent of Education issued a sobering report Tuesday confirming a WAMU NPR investigation at the school, which found that most students graduated despite high rates of unexcused absences and failed classes. High rates of unexcused absences that school administrators misused the program meant to help students to retake failed classes, known as credit recovery. The school was awarding original course credit to students through that program. So they got this mechanism in place that if you are failing a grade, failing a class, that you can do what's called recovery, credit recovery. so that you get credit for the class, get credit for the work that you missed, and that should count towards your grade so that you can pass or so that you can bring your grade up. Credit recovery. Now, Antoine Wilson, who was the chancellor, said, like many of you, I'm disappointed by the report's findings. D.C. Public School Chancellor Antoine Wilson said at a press conference Tuesday, but I can assure you that DCPS has the courage to fix the issues and improve. The report focused on Ballou but reviewed absenteeism and graduation policies system-wide. It also found that the number of students with high numbers of absences has increased in recent years, and that most students with a record of high absenteeism are still graduating. According to the report, the city charter schools and D.C. public schools, selective high schools, have lower rates of absences than neighborhood schools, but the fact that more chronically absent students are graduating casts a shadow over the school's district's increasing graduation rate, which has jumped 20 percentage points since 2011 and 4 percentage points in 2016. So over the last 7 years, graduating rates have been going up. And now we're seeing why they've been going up, possibly because students who shouldn't have graduated are graduating. At Ballou, the report determined that 113 out of 117 graduates received diplomas thanks to a variety of policy violations. 80% of students passed courses and graduated despite excessive absences in regular classes or recovery classes. Yeah, they were absent from recovery classes, the classes you take to make up for the classes you missed in a regular school day. 27% of students earned original course credit through credit recovery. Credit recovery is supposed to be offered only after a student fails a course required for graduation. They're like, oh, I'm not even going to show up for this class. I'm just going to go to credit recovery. Help me pass the class I didn't go to. 14% of students in the graduating class were taking credit recovery courses concurrently with the original course. 3 students graduated despite missing credits in required classes. Investigators also confirmed that teachers felt direct and indirect pressure by administrators to pass chronically absent students and raised concerns that their performance review would be negatively impacted if they did not follow more lenient policies. Teachers said they were instructed that the lowest grade possible at the school was a 50%, which is also not D.C. public school policy. So let's stop there for a second. Teachers felt pressure to do what they did to help these children pass, help these students go through the credit recovery process so they could what? So they could graduate. The pressure, this is what teachers say, was placed on them. Okay? It's also what I found out later. Now, I just happened to hear about this. It's not in the report, but it's true, okay? That there's a certain amount of bonus opportunity for teachers when they graduate students at a certain percentage. The better the students do, the more teachers are getting paid. And you would think that'd be a great incentive, right? Oh, teachers are going to work harder to make sure students pass. It could be the opposite. Yeah, what if the teachers would work harder for students to pass who shouldn't be passing? Just saying, these are just situations. It goes on to say that the report also said D.C. public schools' grading policies were vague, and there wasn't enough training and support for teachers to implement grading, attendance, and credit recovery requirements D.C. public schools implemented as written grading policy in 2015. Okay, so all of this is horrendous so far. And it continues. Listen, the report also says D.C. public schools told high school staff at the end of last year to enroll students in credit recovery courses for original credit if the students weren't on track to graduate. This is a violation of the policy and indicates that the DC Public School System's central office was aware of an encouraging the use of credit recovery for original credit at DC public high schools. Okay. So the chancellor said Tuesday he had not seen the email described in the report, but he says the practice goes counter to my communications about my philosophy around credit recovery. I don't believe a student should be starting there. I think the student should be taking the original course. So they were supplementing the courses they should be taking by going to the recovery course. I don't even know how that works. I don't know how it works. How can we compete if our children are in schools that are passing them, graduating them without the necessary skills to meet some type of requirement that's created by the school, but the child is still devoid of having the level of competency in these courses that are needed, or at least the acumen that's needed in order to graduate, in order to be functional in a job, in what they pursue later. And God forbid they go to college. Now they take on a bunch of debt and they're not prepared. So this is a waste of time because they're in a public school system where it's encouraged that teachers get them to graduate. And you're going to do well, Johnny. You'll do well, Lisa. And then they go on, they take out loans and they go for courses that they're unprepared for. And it does them no good. Are they going to graduate? You think they're going to graduate college that way? Colleges don't work the same way. They charge you. So if they fail you, that's on you. Since the investigation, the central office says it has provided direct guidance to all DC public school system teachers and the staff about grading policy and that it is increasing training for teachers. Okay, so I have a clip. Let me go to a clip, guys. Let me keep you engaged. Let me go to a clip. All right. This is from a press conference held by Muriel Bowser, who is the mayor of D.C., and also Chancellor Antoine Wilson, if I'm not mistaken. That's his last name.
While we help them meet academic standards, or that be following up on policies and regulations that have been put forth by the city as to what's expected for students to learn. I just want to close by saying we are not going to give up on our students. We believe in them. I was a student who had a great number of challenges, and people did not give up on me. In fact, they expected me to be in school. They understood that it was my responsibility to drop my brother and sister off to school, and then they expected me to come in and learn. There were times, I've not shared this with folks, that I came to school and Miss Grieve made sure I had a kudo after school or some other bar to make, because I was hungry. And the idea of being able to get something to go from lunch until late at night to get something to eat, she felt it was her responsibility to make sure that I get that. But it's still, the standard was upheld. We will be a district that puts students first. We will continue our effort to improve our work around equity and excellence. And we'll do so in a way that makes sure that our students are successful. I'm hyper-focused on this. It's extremely important that our students get it. It's not about, for me, ever been about graduation numbers. Yes, we need students to graduate high school, but it's not because of what it says on a piece of paper. It's because what it means in their lives. It means opportunity. It means that a student can pursue their dreams. And we are determined as ever to do what needs to be done to ensure that our students get what they deserve, and that is a world-class education. Thank you.
So in summary, let me just say that we rolled out a policy in the 2015-2016 school year intended to raise the bar in our school district and ensure students were set up for success. But we've never really put in place the training, controls, or accountability to support it. Chancellor Wilson has outlined his plan to fix this at every level. inside the school and within the school district. But we know that we, the school district and the government, can't do it alone. And so we are calling, of course, on our students to understand what their job is. Their job is to go to school, to be there every single day, to show up ready to learn, to be on time, to work with their teachers, to ask for help when they need it, whether it's with schoolwork or if it's with their life in general. And we have to have the caring and expert adults in the school who are there and able to help them. We also need our parents to stay engaged in this process, and we need them to prioritize attendance for their students and push them to get to class on time. We will find better ways to support parents through technology improvements that are simple as making sure that the robocalls are not only letting a parent know if a child has missed school for that day, but if a child has missed a period, one period, the parent should be notified of. We need parents to be engaged with progress towards graduation as well, and making sure that their family is taking full advantage of the resources available at each and every school.
Damn it, I did it again. This is going to be a choppy, janky broadcast, huh? Well, maybe now I can do it with a little bit more fever, a little bit more fire. Check this out. The OSSC report indicates what many lawmakers and community leaders said in the days after they published the original story, which was this was not isolated to Ballou High School only. The number of chronically absent students who are graduating from D.C. public school high schools has increased each year for the past 3 years. Now, pull in here because this is where it got good. In 2016 through 2017, 11.4% of graduates from D.C. public high schools missed more than 50% of the year. 11.4% of graduates from D.C. public schools in 2016 through 2017 missed more than 50% of the year. 30% missed 30%. Few students had significantly or satisfactorily attendance levels, only 7.7%. Only 7.7% of graduates from all D.C. public high schools, that's 178 out of 2,307 graduates. Not people who just went, the graduates had satisfactory attendance during the 2016 through 2017 school year, meaning they missed 9 days or less Now, research shows that students that miss more than 10% suffer academically. Okay. At a hearing in December, Ballou students and staff blamed the district attendance policy known as the 80-20 rule. Now, this is important because this needs to be mentioned. And it would not be fair to Mayor Bowser or Chancellor Wilson if I didn't mention this. At a hearing in December, Ballou students and staff blamed the district attendance policy known as the 80-20 rule. The 80-20 rule is where students who miss 20% of the school day are considered absent. If you miss 20% of the school day, you are considered absent. Students testified that many of them are late because they must take younger siblings to school or have transportation issues. When they know they're going to be marked absent, it creates a disincentive for them to show up. So, you know you're late, you're running your little brother, your little sister to school. You know if you miss more than 20%, you're going to be marked absent, even if you're there. Even if you're there in class, you're marked absent. Thus, that's why you have the 50% mark, right? That's why 50% of the students miss 50% of the graduates. Miss 50% of class because if you are late, more than 20%. And what is it? How many hours are in a day, in school day? What factors in at 20% of the day? Is that an hour? School is not 8 hours, is it? I'm thinking 8 to 3, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3. Well, about an hour, right? Chancellor Wilson told WAMU that some of those issues could be easily solved, but this report shows D.C. public school faces bigger attendance challenges. Okay. Oh, this is, actually, I can't skip this. This is too important to the overall, right? In order for students to fail in the level, the report found in terms of the numbers, it's not just that they were late to school, okay? They missed school, and they didn't just miss a period, they missed multiple periods. Wilson also said solving the attendance problem in city schools means the entire city needs to create the expectation that student attendance is priority. So now we're saying we need to go back to having a community, which means for some of us, we need to start having a community that actually focuses on kids like, what are you doing out? Shouldn't you be in school? You know, how many of you grew up with that? How many of your kids are growing up with that type of, environment where people are actually concerned, not just looking to sell them a Slurpee or sell them a Coke or I don't know, to get their money for, opening the door and say, come on in and buy something. I mean, actual merchants and people in the neighborhood who see kids, I'm just thinking the stores see you. I guess other people see you, neighbors see the kids. I mean, so we're saying we're looking for a community aspect to this that will mitigate or curtail this type of activity where students don't feel they need to go to school or for whatever reason don't make it to school. Not just centrally, not just at a school, not just as a school district, but as a city. You're in school, you should be there. And it's important when you have a legitimate excuse to be absent, that you pursue the excuse. Now that gets us to the number of students who have legitimate challenges. Then he says schools can better connect those students with city services and support and get the support they need. Okay. There's a lot more to this story. There's another article. There's another article, guys, that I think that's important. I'd like to share with you. This is by NPR. And the title of it is, What Really Happened at the School Where Every Graduate Got Into College? I thought they just applied. You mean they got into college? Students who only went to school 50% of the time not only graduated, but they're been accepted into college? How can our kids compete at this? How can they compete in the world? How can they function? How can it be successful if this is the reality, guys? See why I wanted to do this show? See why it's important to me? I think you do. I want to show you something first. Let me try to get people.
The social emotional supports that we want to.
Let's pause that. Let's go to this chart. The majority of Ballew's 2017 graduating class missed more than 6 weeks of school. 23 students missed 0 days. So some students did the right thing, or they were able to do the right thing. They're in a position to do the right thing. Okay? 55 students missed 30 days. 53 students missed 60 days. 23 students missed 90 days of school. We have some students, 9 students missed 120 days, and we had 1 student miss 150 days, and still somehow that student graduated. I don't know what else to say about that. Those numbers, they speak for themselves. Every dot represents a student. That's the graduating class. 2017. Wow. All right. Now you see why I stopped on my tracks, because that image was included in the original article. And I said, somebody's got to talk about this. And remember, this is not just about Ballew. This is about D.C. Public Schools. And this is not even just about D.C. Public Schools. This is about public schools. This is about our school systems. This is about children being left behind. It's not just for tests. It's for graduation, too. Okay, so now let's go into this other article I think I would love to share with you. This is from NPR. What really happened at the school where every graduate got into college? You know, one of the things that really irks the hell out of me is that I know that when they went to do this investigation, there were some people said, oh, you just want to pick on these students. You just want to pick on these students. You just want to find something wrong with us because we all graduated. You're hating on us. You think a predominantly black school, because I know Ballew's a public school in D.C. Hey, there's a lot of gentrification in D.C. They're not going to D.C. public schools. All right? The majority, I should say. The majority are not going to D.C. public schools. So when the white folks come in from Virginia, they ain't going to D.C. public schools. Best believe this is black and brown kids, all right? We talking about. Anybody, I was born in D.C. I was there when I was a child. Then we moved to Maryland. But Prince George's County, Maryland, which is a stone's throw, literally a line right there. Go to the line. Okay, let me go over there, hang out there. Let me go to the go-go over there, and then come back over to Maryland and play some hip-hop and then go back over. And it's real close. But I know the culture of D.C., even now under gentrification, even though they're pushing they're revitalizing D.C. area, like the project sections, and knocking them down, making condos, pricing these people out, sending them to the suburbs. I know the ground in D.C. Now, this article here from NPR, this is from November 28th, right? That's how long this story's been out. I didn't even hear about it. That's another reason why we got to do it. It starts off, Brian Butcher, a history teacher at Ballew High School, sat in the bleachers of the school's brand new football field last June, watching 164 seniors receive diplomas. It was a clear, warm night. He was surrounded by screaming family and friends, snapping photos, taking pictures and videos, and cheering. It was a triumphant moment for the students. For the first time, every graduate had applied and had been accepted to college. The school is located in one of Washington, D.C.'s poorest neighborhoods and has struggled academically for years with a low graduation rate. For months, the school received national media attention, including from NPR, who celebrated the achievement. But all the excitement and accomplishment couldn't shake one question from Butcher's mind. And that question was, how did all these students graduate from high school? These are his words. He says, you saw kids walking across the stage who, they're nice young people, but they don't deserve to be walking across the stage. Nice won't get you a hamburger unless you got $2. I'm just saying. The harsh reality of our system, the harsh reality of our job market, being nice won't get you an apartment. Being nice won't keep you living indoors. Being nice is not going to get you a job. And kids need to know that now. They need to know that right now. If you got kids, if you have children, if you have teenagers, go talk to them. All right, so, and I hope you already do. I'm just saying. An investigation by WAMU and NPR has found that Ballew's high school administration graduated dozens of students despite high rates of unexcused absences. We already know that. Teachers say when many of these students did attend school, they struggled academically, often needing intense remediation. I never seen kids in the 12th grade that couldn't read and write. That's what Butcher says. He's never seen kids in the 12th grade who couldn't read or write. He talks about his 2 decades teaching in low-performing schools in New York to Florida. But he saw this at Ballew, and it wasn't just 1 or 2 students. Mr. Butcher says he saw students who couldn't read or write. They were in the 12th grade, man. In 2017. Oh, Tim, what's wrong with the community? Oh, Tim, why can't we get it together? Some of our kids can't even read or write. And our school is doubling down on the sham education by graduating them. That's what's happening. An internal email obtained by WAMU and NPR from April shows 2 months before graduation, only 57 students were on track to graduate, with dozens of students missing graduation or community service requirements or failing classes needed to graduate. In June, 164 students received diplomas. It was smoke and mirrors. That is what it was, says Butcher. They got a whole section here on pressure to pass students. Because I know we're always looking for whose fault is it? Who did it? Who let everybody down? Who's the culprit? Whose skin can we hang on the wall? We got to have somebody to hang this on. Could it be a little of everyone's responsibility? Just questions. WAMU and NPR talked to nearly a dozen current and recent Ballew teachers, as well as 4 recent graduates who tell the same story. Teachers felt pressure from administration to pass chronically absent students. And students knew the school administration would do as much as possible to get them to graduate. So you got a situation where students already know where they really want to up their scores. They're trying to pass us, so we be good. We don't have to go. Compounding. The initiative, this new push to get everybody to graduate is having the opposite effect. Yeah, people are graduating. They know less. They know less than they did before you had the push. But it looks good on paper. It looked real nice. It's oppressive to the kids because you're giving them a false sense of success, says one current Ballew teacher who spoke on a condition of anonymity. I'm sure you were speaking under the condition of anonymity. Because I know there would be reprisals for you. They're probably right now trying to figure out who you are talking. I know you're not talking. Who is that? Because they don't want truth. Truth is ugly. To not prepare them is not ethical, says another current Ballou teacher who also spoke on the condition of anonymity. They're not prepared to succeed, said Morgan Williams, who taught health and physical education at Ballou last year. Obviously, Morgan's no longer employed at Ballou. Morgan Williams says the lack of expectations set up students for future failures. If I knew I could skip the whole semester and still pass, why would I try? Williams taught physical education and health at Ballou for 2 years. She says her students were often chronically absent, but the gym was always full. Students skipping other classes would congregate there. She says in her request for help from administrators and behavioral staff to manage these students were ignored. Well, often ignored. Williams and other teachers we spoke to for this story say they often had students on their rosters whom they barely knew because they almost never attended class. Let's stop right there and let's take this in for a second, guys. Let's take this in. So what you're saying is it's like, oh, class today, hey, yes, and this is, everybody open your book. This is the chemistry class. We're taking chemistry. We're learning about the chemical body and the things that move in the chemistry in the lab. And who are you? Tyrone. Tyrone? What you doing in my class, Tyrone? This is my class. What's your name again, teacher? I don't know your name. I don't know you either. Since when you in my class? Are you from somewhere else? You look like you're 23 years old. And you just came off the street, just walked up in my class. Who are you, Tyrone? I've been here all year. You ain't been here. That's the reality. That's the reality of what they're saying, what she's saying. Near the end of the term, Williams says students would appear asking for makeup work, like worksheets or a project. She would refuse. There are policies, and if students did not meet the attendance policy, there was nothing she could do to help them. Then she says an administrator would ask how she could help students pass. Teacher want to do the right thing. Administrator like, hey, we need to get this person through class, through your class. What can they do? What can they do? Don't tell me there's nothing they can do. Tell me what they can do to get through your class. At one point, while she was out on maternity leave, she said she received a call from a school official asking her to change a grade for a student she had previously failed. They said, just give him a D. Because they were trying to get him out of there, and they knew he wouldn't do the makeup packet. Uh-oh. All of a sudden, that clip we just saw from Muriel Bowser and Chancellor Wilson doesn't have the ring of truth, does it? What people will say when they're anonymous, believe me, I know. My YouTube comments are full of them sometimes. You'd be amazed what people will say when they're anonymous. They'll admit a lot of things, won't they? You know that, don't you? You know that from comment sections. Maybe not as much on Facebook or a lot of other places, but they can hide who they are, like on Twitter. They got their egg. Oh, they'll talk anonymously. They'll tell you everything about what they think about black folks, what they think about Tim Black's bald head. They'll say it. They'll say it. What they think about, Sandra Bland, what they think about a lot of stuff. Forget liquor is a truth serum. Anonymity is a truth serum. Williams says she tried to push back, but she often had 20 to 30 kids in one class. Repeatedly having the same conversation about dozens of students was exhausting, and the school required extensive improvement plans if teachers did fail students, which was an additional burden for a lot of already strained teachers. It keeps going, guys. Many teachers we spoke to say they were encouraged to also follow another policy. Give absent or struggling students a 50% on assignments they missed. They missed. They didn't even do the assignment and got a 50. Shoot, I'd have been a straight A student if I went to this school. Don't even do the assignment and you get a 50? Jeez. I remember getting a 60 on something, 50 on something, but I did it. Just didn't like trigonometry. But I did it, though. I turned something in, even if it just had my name on the paper, in random circles. All right, let me go. The argument was, if the student tried to make up the missed work or failed, it would most likely be impossible to pass with a 0 on the books. Teachers say that even if students earn less than 50% on an assignment, 50% is still the lowest grade a student could get. What'd you get on that? 20. What'd that mean? 50. Now teachers can't even add. 20 equal 50. 30 equal 50. 0 equal 50. During the last term of senior year, some seniors who weren't on track to graduate were placed in an accelerated version of the classes they were failing. Oh, this is so rich, okay? This is so rich. Oh, you're failing a class. Let's put you in a faster one. At least you can fail quicker. Sound like something someone on Shark Tank would say. If you're going to fail fast. It's like a business principle. That don't apply to geometry. Those classes, known as credit recovery, were held after school for a few weeks. School district policy said students should only take credit recovery once they receive a final failing grade for a course. At Ballou, though, students who were on track to fail were placed in classes, these recovery classes, before they should have been allowed. So you should be going to the recovery class if you're failing the class, if you failed the class. To make up for the class, they just go to recovery class. So don't go to real school, go to recovery school. Is this like an episode of The Wire? It's like Amsterdam, but for schools. You know, Hamsterdam, where they set up so the drug addicts could go do drugs in a certain section of town and they wouldn't arrest them. So basically, you don't have to really do the work. You just go to Amsterdam at Ballou. Recovery class. At Ballou, those students who were on track to fail were placed in these classes before they should have been allowed. On paper, these students were taking the same class twice, sometimes with 2 different teachers. Teachers said this was done to graduate kids. All right. This is such a long article. Let's jump to some other stuff. Do we understand credit recovery? The credit recovery, how that worked? Look, I want everybody to know, I don't think this is isolated to Ballou. I don't believe it's isolated just to D.C. I think this could be going on in your school district, wherever you are, if you have children in a public school. And that's why I'm doing this show. I don't want to talk about Trump's weight. I don't want to talk about if Trump is take Propecia to do something about his hairline. I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about his hand size. I don't want to talk about none of that. I want to talk about who touched whose butt, who got a sexual misconduct. I want to do that right now. I do that sometimes. I won't do that right now. Right now, I'm going to give you something that matters. I want you to take it to heart because this could be going on in your school and no one's done an expose. Maybe NPR hasn't gotten around to looking at your school yet. Maybe you don't have a WAMU and the NPR to team up to form Voltron on your school and do a report that exposes the bullshit that's going on. So that's why I'm doing this. So I hope that you consider. Don't say, oh, not my school. Let's operate from a standpoint that corruption, dysfunction could exist anywhere. So let's understand what credit recovery is. Credit recovery is increasingly used to prevent students from dropping out. Noble idea. Let's give children an alternative instead of failing all these kids. But critics argue credit recovery courses rarely have the same educational value as the original course and are often less rigorous. According to class rosters, 13% of Ballou graduates were enrolled in the same class twice during the last term for graduation. Often, often teachers were not alerted that students were taking credit recovery. Many we spoke to said they didn't realize that this was happening until they saw students whom they had flunked graduate. All right, so that's it. We cannot put this on the teachers. Teachers didn't know these students graduate. Imagine the betrayal of the teachers. Can I exonerate them? I don't think, you know what, I can't exonerate them all. But at least weigh this, because if you're a teacher and you know you failed a student, you had to fail that student. You didn't come in saying, ooh, I want to fail students. You had to fail that student because the student has not mastered the skills necessary to pass, and you don't want that on your conscience, that you put another young person out there into the world who will not be able to compete at any level. And then you see them walk across stage, get their diploma, and look at you probably like, yeah, that's right, Mr. Black, whatever. Look at me. I'm like, yeah. I'm looking at you. They hurt themselves. They're too young to know it. You need to learn to read and write, son. You ain't get over on me, you got over on yourself. And the system betrayed you and allowed you. All right. They say the credit recovery content was not intensive and that students rarely showed up for the credit recovery. If teachers push back against these practices, they say administrators retaliated against them by giving them poor teacher evaluations. Oh.
There's going to be consequences and repercussions.
Last year, the district put school administrators entirely in control of teacher evaluations, including classroom observations, instead of including a third party. Many teachers we spoke to say they believe this gives too much power to administrators. A low evaluation rating 2 years in a row is grounds for dismissal. Just one bad rating can make it tough to find another job. Teachers we spoke with say if they question administration, they were painted as haters who don't care about students. Oh, shit. We're talking about some dirty, dirty stuff going down here, folks. Dirty, dirty stuff. It sounds a little bit like me when I say, I can't vote for corrupt politicians, I won't do it. Hater. You're a hater, Tim Black, because you won't vote for corruption. You won't vote for candidates who have a track record of doing absolutely nothing to benefit you or your community. You're a hater. You don't love America because you won't get behind some bullshit. That sound familiar to you? It sounds familiar to me. See? It's all there for you. It's all there for you. Different, look, it's a different sandbox, but it's still sand. Different sandbox. If they don't like you, they'll just let you go, says Monica Brokenborough, who taught music at Ballou last year. She also served as a teachers union building representative responsible for handling teacher grievances and ensuring the school follows the district teacher contract. Among other duties, last year, 26 grievances were filed by teachers at Ballou. So, more weight towards my argument or towards the idea that the teachers weren't to blame. Teachers filed grievances. I got a feeling that went to Chancellor Wilson's desk. What'd you do, Chancellor Wilson? Besides shave your head, make sure your glasses were straight. I'm just saying, dog, I got you in solidarity. We both bald. Bald man solidarity. What'd you do when them damn grievances came across your desk, sir? Oh, yeah, that's right. You said somehow there was a miscommunication. You didn't get them, right? You didn't know. Listen to this, please. Either you want your professional career on paper to look like you don't know what you are doing, or you just skate by and play the game. Playing the game can have financial benefits. Now this is where it gets a little tricky, guys. This gets a little tricky. Because just as I was taking the weight off the teachers and looking at the administration, now, well, they pull me back in. Every time I get out, they pull me back in. Playing by the game can have financial benefits. If an evaluation score is high enough to reach the highly effective status, teachers and administrators can receive $15,000 to $30,000 in bonuses. Booyah! I thought they were going to say $1,500 to $3,000. They said $15,000 to $30,000. That's a substantial incentive for a teacher. Hell, for anybody. Anybody. There are neighborhood hitmen that'll kill you for $300. Okay, $5. Inflation. Welcome to the hood. DC Public Schools wouldn't tell us who gets a bonus, but teachers we spoke with did say the possibility of such a large bonus increases the pressure on teachers to improve student numbers. So when teachers talk about pressure, they also mean financial pressure. I'd like to pay my bills. I'd like to buy a new car. I got pressure. I want to impress, the ladies with the, $15,000 buys a lot of suits. I want a new tie. Hell, I want a tie. Butcher, Brockenborough, and Williams no longer work at Ballou. They received low teacher evaluations after the 2016 to 2017 school year ended, were let go for various reasons. They believe they were unfairly targeted and have filed complaints through the local teachers union. Butcher and Williams found new teaching jobs outside D.C. Brockenborough is waiting to resolve her grievance. Now, it's to be noted that the principal of the school, his name is Yetunde Reeves. And I think they fired him. They fired the principal because, got to be his fault. Got to fall on the sword, right? Somebody's got to fall for this. It ain't going to be the mayor. Obviously, it wasn't the chancellor. Chancellor Antoine Wilson, the head of public schools in the district, says school also can't ignore what's going on in the lives of students. Now, this is the part that held me back from just going in on parents. Because, we want to go in on parents, and we should go in on parents in some cases. But this is not the Armstrong-Williams show where we say every problem is the family's fault. That's easy. It's the family's fault. That's easy. They love doing that. It's just the family fault. As a parent, I know what students do. Parents might not always know. And as a kid, when I was a kid, I know that's a fact. It's not like when I cut school, I let my mom know, like, Mom, look, Mom, check this out. Check this out, Mom. I ain't go to school at all last week. Who does that? Who has that conversation? But I do want to point this out. I got cute and I lost my spot, man. Try to be funny. Get back to the substance, Timberlake. Get back to the substance. Chancellor Anton Williams, the head of public schools in the district, says schools also can't ignore what's going on in the lives of students. And many students are managing effects of trauma, family responsibilities, a job, and sometimes all of the above. They can't make it extra hard to show up to school every day. Federal data released in October found that 47% of DC students have experienced some kind of traumatic event. Now we get into the root cause of it. At least we get into a root cause of it. 47% of the students have experienced a traumatic event. I'm wondering what the traumatic events could be. Oh, let me think. A friend being shot, killed. A family member being shot, killed. Abuse. Financial hardship, living on the streets. Bouncing from shelter to shelter. You know, all the things that my bigoted conservative friends never even consider. They just go, crime. They never talk about the conditions that people live under. They never talk about the over-policing. Never talk about it. You didn't commit crime? We need over-policing. Over-policing leads to crime. Because now people can't get jobs, dummy. But I know that's a hard thing to wrap your head around. It's a hard thing to wrap your head around. Okay. And no benefits from the state. Can't get food stamps. Can't get shelter. Housing. Shelter, housing. Can't get anything. It just pushes you into the underworld unless you have a support system of a family that has your back like that. And you ain't perfect, so you ain't living your life totally right, probably. Where everybody want to have your back. Sometimes people do things that you can't come back from. At least when you have other kids in the home. And I know that for a fact. But yet, how did all these kids miss all these days of school, apply to college, and still graduate? It's still there, man. Like, you look at all of it and they're right. And still, how did all these kids graduate? How'd they graduate and get accepted to college? As we repeatedly asked this, Wilson and Spence abruptly ended our interview. Yeah, I'm sure Mr. Wilson did. Hey, look, man, just because we both bald don't mean I got to ride for you. Can't, brother. This is horrific. I don't know how long you've been here. Listen to this. After we reached out to D.C. Mayor's office for comment, the Chancellor and Spence made themselves available for another interview. Ultimately, they say they stand behind the school's decision to graduate these students despite missing so much school. This would be the time for you to take a break. Get yourself an adult beverage. Get yourself an adult beverage. Take a break. Take a break. The malfeasance of these mofos. These people are being entrusted with our children. And the chancellor just said, hey, I know they dumb as a rock. We got students who can't read or write, but I support us graduating them. Because why should we have to deal with them? That's basically what he's saying. Basically what he's saying is, I'm in the wrong job. I need to be somewhere else. I'm no good making my own decisions. I'm no good here. I need to be somewhere else. And I don't want to put it all on him, but damn it, you're the chancellor of the school, and you can't stand up and say, we shouldn't have graduated kids who shouldn't have graduated. How could you say we should graduate kids who shouldn't have graduated? You can't say that. That should be, it shouldn't even be to come out your mouth. Like how do you enunciate that? I should graduate people who shouldn't graduate. You don't marry people that are unmarriable, right? You don't drive cars that are undrivable. I mean, it just works in so many other things. But to him, it makes sense to say, I stand behind graduating students who weren't eligible to graduate. If you do that, you have no you're a scumbag. I know you want to dress it up. Don't dress it up so quickly like, oh, well, he just wants to support the kids. What good is, it's like having soldiers and you making them go to war, but you ain't training them. But hey, at least they graduated, they made it through boot camp, then they go out and they are slaughtered. And you go, well, sometimes people got to get slaughtered. You know, you can do that. You call yourself a paper pusher, a bureaucrat, or whatever you want to call yourself a professional. I'll call you unscrupulous, and I'll call you to blame for a lot of this. You're a company guy, and I dealt with a lot of company people. Paper pushing, pencil neck bastards who take no responsibility and say, well, I'm just doing my job. Wonder how much they pay you to be the chancellor who graduates students who shouldn't graduate. Oh, because you're a black guy, I'm supposed to give you a pass? Nah, I think since you're a black guy, I'm going to hold you to a high standard. How about that, Mr. Wilson? Mr. Wilson, you're welcome to come on my show and explain to me. My door is open. I would like for you to come on my show and explain to all of the Black Word Today audience why you thought it was good to graduate a bunch of black kids at a black school who probably can't spell black.
Oh, yeah. That's what I'm talking about. Come on, sucker. Let's get it on.
Now, here goes some teacher responses, because we want to humanize this a little bit more, all right? And I'm not caping for the teachers. I already stated that the teachers had a financial incentive to look the other way and do what was needed in order to get $15,000 to $30,000. If you're looking at a person who makes, I don't know, $50,000, $40,000, and you offer them the opportunity, right, to make $55,000 to $70,000 or whatever, don't you think that's a little much of an incentive? I'm just saying. Teacher responses. When we ask Ballou teachers about the issues students are dealing with that make it difficult to attend school, they acknowledge the reality. But some say the school districts use these student situations as a crutch to ignore larger unaddressed issues. Like in-seat attendance and student behavior. In-seat attendance is the percentage of time a student is actually in class. When it comes to attendance, teachers say many students are in the building, but they just don't go to class. Kids roam the halls with impunity, said another current Ballou teacher. The tardy bell is just a sound effect in that building. It means nothing, says Broken Barrel, the former music teacher. Teachers say they're willing to help students who struggle to balance school and outside responsibilities like a job or childcare. Students are at school or at work and they go to school. A lot of them are making ends meet at home or they don't live at home. I did the same thing when I was in 12th grade, 11th to 12th grade. Worked full-time and went to school. High school, no adult supervision. Many students have figured out they don't need to show up every day. These students are smart enough to see enough of what goes on. They go, oh, I ain't got to do no work in your class. I can just go over here, do a little PowerPoint, pass and graduate. Again, this isn't about the teachers. What is that doing to the child? That's setting the kid up. That's setting the kid up for failure, just so you can showboat you got this graduation rate. Give that up. Now, before we exonerate all the students, and put these teachers on our shoulders and parade them around and throw money and confetti, play Al Green songs or whatever the hell we about to do. Kool and the Gang, celebrate good times. Come, before we do that, listen to what some of the students had to say. We interviewed 4 recent Ballou graduates. We aren't using their names to protect their privacy. 3 are in college now, including one student who was absent about half the school year. This is going to be good, right? I came to school when I wanted to, she says. I didn't have to be there. I didn't want to be there. Very honest. I didn't want to be there. I didn't have to be there. I wasn't there. Keeping it real. Anonymity keeps it real, doesn't it? You know, back to my comment earlier, this is on the side note, when I said about the comment sections and people have anonymity on these platforms, on social media. You know, people like to say, oh, well, you know, people say anything when they're anonymous. Yeah, like the truth, how they really feel. You know, that's why I got all those blocks. I have spam blocks to catch people calling me the N-word on YouTube. But you like to tell me these are just 12-year-olds and 11-year-olds acting out, and they don't really feel that way. They're just saying it to get a rise out of you. And then Charlottesville happens, and you go, uh-oh. Yeah, those are real people. So that type of lies, those type of lies fool decent people into believing that we don't have a racial problem. But that's on another note. I just thought I'd bring it up because they're talking about anonymity, and we're seeing this class member, this former student of Ballou, being very forthcoming and very open and sincere because she has anonymity. Senior year wasn't easy for her. She said she wasn't living at home anymore, was working at a fast food restaurant to pay rent. Her need for an income made school even less appealing. I felt at a point around getting toward winter, I didn't have to be there no more. Did you hear that sentence? Let's try that again. I felt at a point around getting toward winter, I ain't have to be there no more. I felt like I graduated at that point. Well, damn. I got a sound effect for that.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?
No. No, I don't. And I'm trying to stop saying that and say that. And you're saying ain't no more. Be there no more. And she graduated. And is she in college? While she said she got calls and letters from the school about her absenteeism, she wouldn't show up until they threatened to send her to court for truancy. That's when I was like, oh, let me go to school. Oh, let me go to school. That's what's happening. In DC, students who miss 15 or more school days without an excuse are supposed to be referred to court services. Last year, Ballou sent just 25 seniors to court services for truancy. But, according to documents we obtained, all but 11 graduates should have had court services alerted about their absenteeism. Even then, you learn how to work the system. When the school would threaten truancy court, she said she would show up for a few hours, do her classwork, and leave early. She believes it shouldn't matter if she showed up to class as long as she completed her work. Plus, she says, she knew no matter how much school she missed, she wouldn't fail. It's right there. She said it don't matter. She's not going to fail, so what the hell? The thing was, they couldn't do that to me, and they knew I knew that. The thing is, they knew they couldn't do that to me, and they knew I knew that. Not a fool. Knows the game. Playing the game. But she loses in the end. And she's too young to know it. Too young to know it. We the adults, we know better. Supposedly. Right? Gosh. Remember what I said about the teachers, okay? According to Washington Post article in May of this year, 21 teachers, more than a quarter of Ballew's teaching staff, left during the 2016 to 2017 school year, the most teacher resignations of any high school in the district last year. When those teachers left mid-year, a substitute often took over, giving students even less motivation to show up to class. What am I going to keep showing up for? For a substitute? He ain't going to teach nothing. That's what the student said. Another Ballew graduate also says teacher turnover was the biggest problem at the school. Often teachers would leave without a backup teacher or a substitute in place. He says many substitutes didn't know how to teach the content and students lost interest in learning. I'm not going to say I always went to class or I was always a good student, because I wasn't. He says on the phone from his dorm. He currently attends a 4-year university outside D.C., but this student took honors courses and says he wanted to be at school. He knew college would be hard. He even enrolled in a summer program at his college designed to help low-income, underrepresented students prepare for their first semester. But he says, when the fall semester started, I had reality slapped in my face. Both students say they're struggling in their college math classes. The elephant in the room is how these kids are getting through middle school and getting through high school, says a current Ballew teacher speaking anonymously. That's passing the buck and totally unacceptable, especially from a leadership standpoint. The school district won't know how many Ballew graduates enrolled in college overall until May. A spokesperson says, we know of 183 students accepted to the University of the District of Columbia, the local community college, but only 16 enrolled this fall. As the first semester of freshman year winds down, both graduates quoted in this story who attended 4-year universities say they're trying to stick with it. Everybody says you're supposed to go to school for yourself. You're supposed to go to college for yourself. But I went to college for my family, says the Ballew graduate who stayed in the District of Columbia. I didn't go because I wanted to. I don't want to. I could care less. Damn. It's tough. I could care less if I get an education. But I'm going to go ahead and do what I have to, because nothing feels better than going home to your family who look up to you. I got parents who look up to me. I wish you looked up to yourself. She doesn't feel that she was prepared for college, though she places some of the blame on herself. You should place more than some. Teachers at Ballew says pushing kids to see a future for themselves and to work toward that future is valuable, but encouraging them to pursue a future they're not prepared for and sending them off without skills is irresponsible. Instead, they said the school and school system need to better prepare students for the hurdles they'll face when they go to college, and they need to hold students accountable when they don't meet the requirements. 7 months from now, Ballew High School will celebrate another graduating class. The current senior class is also working towards a 100% college acceptance rate this year. I encourage you all to go to the NPR website, is also the WAMU.org website. I don't know whose shoulders to put all the blame. You know, you do a story like that, you cover a subject like that. That's like a subject of the state of D.C. public school systems, the D.C. public school system as well as Ballew, and possibly your school too. And I don't wish that to be your situation, but we need to be concerned. I think that I see no winners unless you count getting money winners. And I'm sure the administrators have a financial incentive. If the teachers meet a threshold, I'm sure the administrators also, if they hit a threshold, they get a certain type of compensation. And there I was all for somehow tying incentives to the better students do to teachers' compensation. But maybe we tied it too much. They're too well connected. I don't know, guys. I can tell you this. The words that the mayor said are not enough to make me feel better about the situation in D.C. public schools. What I read here, the anonymous quotes, I believe them. I believe that these students felt this way, that they could game the system. I believe that teachers felt that their hands were tied. And I believe that administrators also faced a certain amount of pressure as well. I don't think there's a teachers union for an administrator. Just get rid of you. We don't even got to write you up. No evaluation. I'm pretty sure, right? So I see a lot of dysfunction. My opinion, I thought I would have a strong opinion when I left this article, when I left this session. But it's just a warning. It's just a warning to you parents out there. Just because your child is passing and graduating doesn't mean they know anything. Doesn't mean they're prepared to go to the next level. But that's what graduation should mean. I got to put the onus on the parents. I want to put more of it on the children, but they are children. But they're old enough to make decisions. I'll put it on both of us. I put it on parents. I put it on teachers. I put it on schools. I put it on administrators. I put it on students. I can tell you one thing, and I can stand on this. Giving someone a diploma who didn't earn that diploma does not help that person. It doesn't take long for an employer to realize you don't know shit. Padding your numbers may pad your bank account, but you're a low individual. And somehow we need to hold those people accountable for what they did at Ballou High School. A lot of people had to look the other way for this to happen. I want to leave it up for discussion for anyone. I would also like to make this a talk back to Tim Black, where you voice your opinion about the information that was just that I just covered. And also, if you go to the websites of NPR, if you go to my YouTube channel, you'll find links. You know what? I will put those same links on the Facebook page once it posts to make it easier for you to go and read in depth about what the story is. You can look at it for yourself. And I'm sorry about my throat here. But I would love for you guys to chime in on this issue. I would love for you to be involved in it. It's important to me that you be able to talk back, that we have an ongoing conversation about it, that we create a dialogue, and most importantly, that if you have children in a public school, particularly in D.C., but any district, in any state, in any city, that you are up on game so that you know what's going on. Just because the numbers look great. Sort of like those unemployment numbers that everyone's been talking about, patting themselves on the back, breaking their wrists, throwing their shoulders out, giving themselves all types of personal hugs, solo hugs. Yeah, the numbers lie sometimes, right? Numbers can be fudged too. And that's the case here. Email me at tim@timblacktv.com. Upload your video to YouTube. Send me the link, and we'll run it. Try to make it short. Get to the point. Don't be like me. I took a long time on this, but I wanted to cover it all, and I think all of it needed to be covered. I think that's it. Yeah. I'll see you guys again on Friday for another session of Black Word Today. I want to thank you all for showing up, keeping your head up, and realizing we got to focus on solutions I think the solution to this is activity, action, being aware. And this is a personal thing. Your child, your teenager, that's your domain, man. You gotta take ownership of that. Don't leave it up to these kids to do the right thing. Don't leave it up to kids to make life decisions. If they're still under your roof, they got to show you proof. Because the numbers were lying. All right, guys. I'll see you on the next one. Tomorrow, Coffee with Tim Black. And after that, Black Word Today. And then tomorrow night, the Tim Black at Night show. And yeah, if you value this information, and I hope you do, go to timblacktv.com, become a member. Also, go to Amazon, pick up my book, Woke, 5 Things Smart People Wish Hillary Supporters Knew. It very briefly, it unravels and exposes the real reason why Hillary Clinton lost the election. And I appreciate it if you picked it up. All right, guys, that's it. I won't keep you no more. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Much love to you. Much love to you parents that are involved in your kids' education. And you ain't just listening to what they say and believing them. You're actually checking up, following up to make sure it's right. Shout out to the real teachers out there who wouldn't just do whatever for a couple bucks. Hey, if you're going to sell your soul, there's other ways to do it. You know? Don't do it at the expense of our children. You can go be a sellout on MSNBC or Fox News. Well, that's still selling out, but don't use my children. Don't use our children to do it. All right, guys. Peace.
Check this out, son. Hold up.
No way. Try the one that doesn't work. The 4 guys all fighting over who's gonna win.
I got you stuck off the realness.